crowd, thank you so much for making it. My name is Isaac. I'm with Citizen Action. I've been at this for 2.5 years. This is an awesome crowd. This is really awesome. Give yourself a round of applause. It's really cool. I'm so happy to be here. So I'm going to start by introducing our dear mayor, City of Binghamton Mayor, Mr. Matthew Ryan, who's been a phenomenal advocate. So give Matt some love.
What a great crowd. Thanks everybody for coming out today. You know, last week I was in Albany with representing 136 or more local officials, and now we have over dozens and dozens of state senators and assembly people that have simply told the governor, what, are you crazy? You cannot go forward. First of all, we all know what's happening. Late in the game, they've said, oh, we have to do health impacts of this, don't we? I mean, that's basically what happened. And so basically they started scrambling, and you can't do a good health impact study on this industry because it's basically new. It's not an industry. They tell you it's been going on for 50 or 60 years, but horizontal high-volume hydrofracking has not been going on for 60 years. It's been going on since 2003 when Range Resources started it in Pennsylvania. And we are not going to be guinea pigs for this industry. So, when they go to do the health impacts, there's a good reason why the state has nothing to study and they don't know what to study, because it takes years to understand the health impacts of an industry. But there are a lot of anecdotes out there. There are a lot of anecdotes from states that have been doing it, Texas, Utah, Pennsylvania, many, many anecdotes about what the problems this industry is causing. And again, I say to the governor, you cannot do the health impact assessment is supposed to guide what happens with the rulemaking. You can't do them together. You have to be done of one and go forward with the other. So clearly right now what has to happen is there should be no artificial deadlines. It can't get done in time. You can't artificially set a deadline and just say, oh, we're going to have this done. You have to do the proper health impact assessment. And then, so that means, Governor, I'm sorry, but you have to miss the deadline, and we're going to start all over if that's what you need to do. That's what you should do. That's the only thing that can possibly protect the citizens of this state. So, and that's the clear message you're getting from 136 local officials, 30 mayors, including myself, and dozens of state assembly and senators now. So please listen to those people who are trying to tell you, Governor, don't make this mistake because we will continue to be your worst nightmare.
Mayor Matthew Ryan, that's our dear mayor of the city of Binghamton. I'm proud to call him my elected official. I'm happy to introduce next Gerri Wiley, Tioga County, a registered nurse. Where is Gerri? Right here.
Hello, Southern Tier. I have a message today for Governor Cuomo regarding the rumor that you will approve 10 to 40 high-volume wells in the Southern Tier as a demonstration project. I'm thankful to know that it's simply a rumor. Because if it were true, it would mean the Southern Tier's 490,000 residents, including 108,000 children, would be lab rats for testing New York's regulations. It would mean that you were not serious when you said water is sacrosanct. That you were not serious when you said the science will decide if we move forward. Were this rumor true, it would mean that you don't care that the quality of air we breathe, the quality of the water we drink, and the quality of the Greek yogurt we consume are something not in your thought process. Were this rumor true, it would mean you don't care that regulations cannot fix the fact that 6 to 8% of the wells leak initially, and that no acceptable disposal method for toxic radioactive frac waste exists. Were this rumor true, it would mean you don't care about high crime rates, about congested rural roads, about lowered property values, and the list of the harmed that now has 825 families, not counting the ones who have been forced by industry to sign non-disclosure agreements. A list of 66 pages. Were this rumor true, it would mean you would welcome into New York State an industry that never admits wrongdoing, that lines the pockets of its leaders, that muzzles doctors, that wins exemptions from protections, and that writes its own rules. And finally, were this rumor to be true, you agree to ignore the majority of the residents of the Southern Tier who don't want our homes fracked. And finally, Governor Cuomo, please tell us this rumor is not true. Stand up for the Southern Tier and all of New York and ban fracking now.
All right, now I want to just real quick, I want to tell everyone why we're outside instead of inside. And the reason that we're outside instead of inside is because there are too damn many of us. So I got a call yesterday saying, you guys are having a rally? That's a little dicey. So here we are, we're taking to the streets and we've got a phenomenal crowd. I appreciate each and every one of you being here and taking the trip, for those who did travel. I'm happy to introduce next Chris Berger, Chair of the Binghamton Regional Sustainability Coalition.
Thanks, Isaac. Okay, I am just so proud of you people, and I'm proud of the majority of New York State residents who stared at the most powerful industry in the world and challenged them. I mean, this is an industry, obviously, that has that's used to having its own way, right? And has more money than God, and certainly and I'm proud of you for standing up to Albany, where unfortunately we have a situation where the currency of power in Albany tends to be money. But we have proven that a well-organized citizenry can challenge that and be effective. And so here we are, how many years later, still without fracking, and the governor's in a hard place right now because we've gone through this study, the S-Guys process, and really, at this point in time, either he has to be convinced that this can't be done safely and responsibly. But if he still needs convincing, then there's some pretty significant gaps in the S-Guys process that he still needs to address. So those are the only two choices he really has, quite frankly, because he's either convinced at this point, or he has to either do a health impact statement study, and he has to do a serious socioeconomic study, and he has to do a cumulative study. Now, you can't do a health study without a cumulative study, so those two are pretty linked. Now, he seems to, the S-Guys was willing to have all kinds of cumulative positive impacts, so they say, to the economy. Yet we know across the board when communities that have engaged in this practice over the long term are left diminished, economically diminished. So he really has to get serious about doing those economic studies. As I was introduced, we're a part of the Binghamton Regional Sustainability Coalition. That's the real jobs. That's the real strength of our community. If we and we need to have a sustainable economy, and fracking doesn't get us there. So, you know, basically, most people are convinced that you can't about this is not good for the environment. It's not good for our health. Some people are still kind of caught up in that economic argument that there's supposed jobs. But I'm here to tell you that over the long run, and there's no room really for short-sighted people in this debate. You have to be looking at the long term, and we have to be looking at a sustainable economic development, and fracking doesn't get us there.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, now I'm gonna introduce a few more people. First, I'm gonna say a couple of things. So we're here today as residents of the Southern Tier who are concerned about our health, safety, and that of our children and our communities. It is grave concern that brings us here today. It's rumored that permits will be issued for between 10 and 40 wells across the southern tier prior to the ESCICE and health review being released. This course of action makes us human test subjects subject to the gas industry's whims. No one has seen the ESCICE for well over a year, and no one knows the scope of your health review, Governor Cuomo. This forces our community into attempting to hold an industry with a long, dirty history accountable to standards that we don't even know. Governor Cuomo, your entire process has been secretive and opaque. This is absolutely unacceptable, given that our health and well-being is at stake. We call for a comprehensive health impact assessment with public participation at every step, starting with the scope of the assessment. Such an assessment would tell you that fracking cannot be done safely, period. We do not accept the secretive ESCICE process and health study with our health and communities on the line. We demand that you let the regulations expire, open the health study to public scrutiny. All right. So with that, I'm going to introduce Logan Adsit. She's a resident of Chenango County and a young mother. So here's Logan. She's got the baby with her, too. This is young Elijah.
I am a mother to a 1-year-old little boy. Governor Cuomo seems to be unconcerned about the effects of fracking on my child's health and future life on this earth. How do I explain to my son that his town board and his own state governor had the chance to protect him with a ban on fracking but chose not to, purely due to financial incentives? We must know by now that you can't drink money, right? We have a demonstration project in Pennsylvania right now, and it is clear that fracking is incompatible with everyday life. Cuomo is conducting a real health experiment with our health and our kids' health. Residents of the beautiful state of New York will not let this happen. When Governor Cuomo took office, he took an oath to protect his residents from harm. If he is true to his oath, he must protect us with a ban on hydrofracking to protect the water, air, soil, and all life from harm. I must believe that our governor has the courage to protect his residents from harm and to not be a coward who stands behind the DEC. When I look to year 2013 in New York State, I would like to see a search for renewable energies and more independence from fossil fuels. Natural gas is not a sustainable energy and will not bring prosperity to our area. Governor Cuomo, I'm here to tell you, not one well.
That was Logan Adsit. Isn't she fantastic? So we actually have someone very special here named Captain Ray Lewis. He promised me 60 seconds or less, and I'm calling him on it right now. So here he is.
Thank you very much. I have one word of advice to everyone here, that if you ever engage any of the anti-clean water and anti-clean air people, also known as pro-frackers, ask them this question. If this process is so clean, why did former Vice President Dick Cheney get this process exempt from the Clean Air, Clean Water, and Safe Drinking Water Act? I guarantee you will leave them tongue-tied. There's no answer for that. It's a filthy, dirty, destroying process. Thank you.
All right, and I'm going to introduce Aubrey Clark, a member of Vestal Residents for Safe Energy, a resident of Vestal as well.
With so much visible and vocal public opposition to fracking, it is unthinkable that Governor Cuomo may go ahead and approve any plan which opens the southern tier to this invasive industry. A recent Siena poll found more people in the southern tier than anywhere else in the state would be unhappy if fracking went forward. There have been repeated calls on the governor for a more transparent and thorough health review. Residents in the southern tier call on the governor to recognize that if fracking is not safe for the New York City and Syracuse watersheds, it cannot be safe here.
That's right.
Vestal residents for safe energy join Save the Southern Tier and New Yorkers Against Fracking in opposing any test well project here. We demand that the governor open up the health review to include public participation and comment, to not finalize the sham ESCICE on February 13th, and to let the fatally flawed regulations expire on February 27th.
So I'm on the phone with Sandra Steingraber, who is running late, but she'll be here. Sandra Steingraber gets all over the state with no vehicle, and she's an absolutely amazing speaker, author, poet. So I'm going to take a moment and introduce Vera Scroggins, who is right over here. She's a resident of Pennsylvania, and she's been dealing with this firsthand for the last couple of years in documenting industry.
Hello, welcome New Yorkers and Pennsylvania people. We have to keep this out of New York at all costs. In my county, Susquehanna County, we have 650 wells now. We have dozens of pipelines that are high pressure and at risk for us. We have compressor stations, dozens of them being planned, where people are complaining about air pollution and noise pollution. I don't want this for you or anyone. And I'm asking, please continue to keep the borders closed. We need to keep ourselves, at least part of our country, clean and safe. And we need a place for us to run to. As a former New Yorker, I will have to leave at some point. I cannot take the pollution, the contamination of our water, which continues. We still have contamination cases as of this past year. And the industry is still polluting us. This is unacceptable. We need to keep them out of New York. I am grateful that you are doing all that you are doing. Continue the fight. Keep the borders closed, because eventually we will have to not let anything out of Pennsylvania. The food will be getting polluted. The milk is getting polluted. The cows are drinking contaminated water. Do not let anything out of Pennsylvania. Put an embargo around us. And Governor Cuomo, I say, put your first test wells in your watershed, in the New York City watershed. Put it in Manhattan. Put it next to the mansion, your governor's mansion. Put it near you. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for the rest of the state. Thank you.
So on that note, we have a demonstration project in Pennsylvania. There are 9,000 wells that have been drilled, nearly 9,000. Over 3,000 violations that the DEP has logged. Over 3,000 violations. That's the nature of this industry. That will always be the nature of this industry. So I'm also happy to introduce Craig Stevens, a 6th-generation Pennsylvania resident, 5th-generation New Yorker from Silver Lake Township, Pennsylvania, ferocious advocate, a good friend.
Thank you, Isaac. Okay, we got the Southern Tier people here. 6th-generation Pennsylvanian, 5th-generation New Yorker from Oswego. My mom's from Oswego. Guess what? As you heard, we're an uncontrolled experiment down there with fracking. We're getting destroyed in Pennsylvania. I'm here standing with my friends from the Southern Tier, and what we're going to say to Governor Cuomo, if you happen to be listening to our governor, guess who the former Governor Rendell works for now? The gas industry. Former Governor Ridge, gas industry. Former U.S. Senator Santorum, gas industry. Former DEP Secretary John Hanger, gas industry. 12 major people, high-level DEP, right when Corbett got in office, left to work for the gas industry. So if you're listening to these people, they're lying to you for money, Governor. Don't listen to them. Think about your political future. You will never get reelected in this state again if you let this come here. Not one well anywhere. Here's what we say. At least Governor Corbett opened the entire state up for it. You're insane. You're going to put a few test wells in the Southern Tier, opening up an experiment here. One problem, Governor. One problem arises. You're done for. Forget about 2014 in New York and forget about 2016. This weekend we go to Washington, D.C. to tell Barack Obama, shut this down, wake up and listen to the people. Along with all my friends here, we're going to say, not one well, not one well, not one well.
Not one well. That's correct, Stevens. Not one well. So this is Dr. Niru Ane, a local medical doctor, board-certified general surgeon, fellowship specially trained cancer surgeon, one of the most respected in the area. We currently provide a standard of care for our patients, which is derived from evidence-based research. We do not institute treatment protocols on our patients without knowing the side effects, risks, benefits, and alternatives. Drilling without health impact data would be similar to instituting treatment plans in medicine without knowing the side effects and risks of the treatment protocol. Similar to informed consent in medicine, where the patient is informed regarding risks, there needs to be open disclosure by the Department of Health in New York State on all chemicals involved in the drilling process and the potential side effects of each agent. The data, including effects of chemicals, should furthermore be interpreted by scientists and physicians who have training and credentials to interpret such data, not by lawmakers who are not versed in it. And that's our local doctor, Dr. Niru Ane. I'm actually happy to introduce here. This is Vince. He's with Oxford Visionaries. They got I believe the second ban in New York State after the city of Binghamton.
It's really exciting to see everyone here today. It's really exciting to see everyone here today. It's a fantastic show. We got to ask Governor Cuomo, quit this genocidal happening here. You know, we got so many people that have lost so many lives, and their whole standard of living has changed in Pennsylvania as a result. The example's there. It's all there. It's seen, it's recorded as such, and for some reason you're not listening. Let's not have it in New York State. We've got to get rid of it. It's totally genocidal. It's totally wrong. There is no benefit other than big money for the corporate world, not for the people at all. So stop it now. We demand not one well. 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 Not one well.
Protect our health and safety. We shall not be moved. Protect our health and safety. We shall not be moved. Just like a finger lake between the hillsides. We shall not be moved. No toxic spills or accidents. We shall not be moved. No toxic spills or accidents. We shall not be moved. Just like a finger lake between the hillsides. We shall not be moved.
Thank you. Another impromptu speaker. My name's Renee Vogelsang. I work with Frack Action and with New Yorkers Against Fracking. And while we're waiting for Sandra, who's going to be here very soon, I just wanted to show everyone the full-page ad we took out in the Albany Times-Union yesterday. Someone can help me with the win. It says, Governor Cuomo, not one well, while New Yorkers remain in the dark about the state's fracking health review. Governor Cuomo, we ask that you fulfill your promise to conduct the most comprehensive health review ever done before making any final decisions. That means understanding why people say fracking is making them sick across the country. It also requires transparency. Please do not make a decision on whether or not to allow fracking in New York until health review is open for public comment and participation. And this was signed by Bill McKibben, Mark Ruffalo, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Sandra Steingraber, and over a dozen non-for-profit national, state, and regional organizations across the state. So the message is getting out there. We know that we're down to the wire here with a lot of decisions, a lot of potential deadlines coming up. But I'm just going to reiterate what everyone says, that New Yorkers do not want fracking. We know that it can't be done safely. And we know that this process has not been done in a transparent way. We know that we haven't seen all the facts and the science. Governor Cuomo said that this decision is going to be made on the facts and the science. Well, let's see them. Let's see the facts. Let's see a comprehensive health impact assessment. And let's see a socioeconomic impact assessment. There's a lot of impacts to our economy in New York State that we don't have all the facts on. So we want the governor to hold true to his word on this process, on this being a fair process, on this being based on the facts. And we cannot have an environmental impact statement or regulations without having looked at all the facts. And he cannot do this in good conscience. And we know that if we looked at all the facts, that we would see that this can't be done safely. It's not worth it. We need to move forward with an aggressive transition to renewable energy, and he can be the guy who could do it. He could be our hero. He could lead the nation and our state to a renewable energy economy.
That's Renee. So I'm happy to introduce Emily, who is based out in Syracuse, and she'll tell you a little bit more about herself.
Hi, my name is Emily Bishop. I'm a regional organizer in Syracuse with New Yorkers Against Fracking, but I'm also an intern with the Two-Row Wampum Renewal Campaign. Some of you might not know about it because it's not in our history books, but we have an obligation in our state to protect the environment 400 years ago, okay? It's not just recent history, it is a long history of allies with the Haudenosaunee people in New York State that are native to our land, and we made an agreement, our government of New York State made an agreement with these people to protect the environment, and hydrofracking is absolutely a direct violation of that agreement. So we stand here today in the spirit of the Two-Row as an ally people. Are there any Haudenosaunee people here? No, but we are allies to them, and and we are standing here today with our row, fulfilling our obligation to protect our state from hydrofracking and to protect our waters. Thank you.
All right, Matt wants to share a few more words. Matt Ryan has been an amazing advocate for us, and we're so lucky and fortunate to have him.
I'm just doing this to wait for Sandra. We got to fill in some space here before the great Dr. Sandra Steingraber gets here, who's really devoted her whole life right now to trying to defeat this industry. Anyway, you know, our neighbors down, we have neighbors down to our south from Dimmock and Pennsylvania and Montrose who come up and help us all the time. I just want to give them a special round of applause. They've been fighting just as hard as all of us, if not harder, because they've seen what's happened from this industry. And, you know, right now you've got this what's his name? Flem, we call him Flem. And Philip McClear, who's going around with this movie. And it's just, it really disrespects the people of Carter Road and Dimmock, because they've been victims twice already. Their water was ruined, and then they were ostracized by their neighbors. And, you know, he says, well, the EPA says their water's okay. Well, there's a simple, and I'm not saying that that's true, because I think these results have never been officially given to the people, and there's been a lot of shenanigans following them. But there's a simple reason why the results might be better than they were in 2008 when they brought these results to the Cabot Gas and Oil Company. They said on September 11th, 2008, there's something wrong with our water. And they came that day, they looked at the water, they did some preliminary testing, and by that afternoon, they had started putting in water buffaloes and said, do not bathe in this water, do not drink this water, we will provide you with drinking water. And they seem now to want to rewrite that history. And the reality is, 4 years later, since no fracking, by the way, those were only vertical wells, 3 vertical wells that were drilled along the ridge there. They caused this. There was no even fracking. They hadn't even got to the fracking part yet. It was just a vertical well. So when New York State says that, you know, we have a great history of good vertical well drilling, that's why we only have to have a supplemental guys. That's just a pipe dream, because vertical well drilling can cause a lot of problems by itself. But 4 years later, when they take away the water buffaloes and they're asked to do testing, nothing's been done. There's been a moratorium since that on those wells. We all know that water settles down. We all know that if you're not drilling, water tables settle down and things like that. So it could be that they're, you know, maybe the results aren't as bad as they were in 2008. They probably wouldn't be. But that doesn't mean, now we know that they're starting to re-stimulate 7 of those wells. And I think very shortly you'll see results from some people who haven't gotten tired and haven't sold out to the industry, that you'll see what the results of their water is in the coming weeks. And I don't think it's going to be a pretty picture.
Mayor Matt Ryan. And fresh from New York City, let's give her a warm Binghamton welcome, Dr. Sandra Steingraber.
So, I was in New York last night. Here I am. I'm on my way to Cortland. Tonight, I'm speaking again. Before that, I was in Pennsylvania. Before that, I was in Minnesota talking to people who are committing civil disobedience because their land is being turned inside out for frac sand mining, so that the bluffs and hills along the Mississippi River can be loaded into rail cars and brought here to serve as agents of destruction for our bedrock. So we stand in solidarity with people all around the nation who are saying there's got to be a better way than to blow up our bedrock and inject it with toxic chemicals to bring bubbles of methane out, light them on fire so we can make our tea kettles whistle and turn the lights on. There's got to be a better way. Look to the sun! We got sun, we got water, we got wind, we own them, and they last forever. That's our future, not some kind of brutal, fossilized past. So we have this incredible, heroic role that we're playing here. And we shouldn't feel depressed. We should feel like it's going to be us in a little postage stamp picture in the history books 100 years from now. Just like we look at the little postage stamp sized pictures of Harriet Tubman and all the abolitionists and the women's suffrage and everyone else who's fought for human rights. Now it's our turn. So we in the Finger Lakes stand in solidarity with you in the Southern Tier. We recognize that we are 2 branches of the same tree. We share water, rivers, watersheds, and we know that we are all together upstream from the people all the way down to Maryland and the Chesapeake Bay, and we feel that we are standing up for them too, and for their children. We share air, and we know that fracking releases hazardous air pollutants like formaldehyde, benzene, toluene, propane, butane, ethane, all those other hydrocarbons that are down there like vaporized fossils trapped in the shale along with the methane. When you get the methane out, they are also liberated. So each gas well is like a chimney in the earth with all these vaporized toxins coming out of it. And those toxics can blow for 200 miles. So what we put in our air here in the Southern Tier blows east to west and will end up in the lungs of a child somewhere in New Jersey. Which is why yesterday I was participating in a press call with the legislators of New Jersey who are also calling on Governor Cuomo to do no sacrifice zone here in the Southern Tier. They don't want your air pollution either, and they don't want all the flowback frac waste to be chucked into New Jersey and dumped somewhere over there, because they've lived with stuff like that for a long time. They're done. They're done. So they're standing up for us too. So whatever happens tomorrow, whatever happens on Thursday or Friday or the rest of this month. We will fight each battle as it comes. So right now we're fighting very hard to prevent Governor Cuomo from giving in to the gas industry. We're inviting him to stand with us. If that battle should change and he indicates he's not standing with us, we'll fight a different kind of battle. But you have to fight as hard as you can with the battle you have now. The battle we have now, from now until the governor makes his decision, is to tell him to make the right decision and keep saying it and keep saying it, that we are his future, not the gas industry. That's the present moment that we're in right now. So I'll close with this. This is the February Declaration, which I'm now working on. It's my new writing project. It's for now, for the moment we find ourselves in now, so it has to be done quickly. I'm going to go home and finish it. And I'll give you a sneak preview of what it says. And I think you'll recognize what document the February Declaration is based on. I'm going to read you the opening, and I'm going to read you the closing paragraph. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for people of one state to declare their intention to resist, through peaceful protest and nonviolent direct actions, the transformation of their communities, landscapes, roadways, and lives by a polluting, accident-prone industry, namely the shale gas extraction industry. Should their governor decide to lift a moratorium on high-volume, horizontal hydraulic fracking, decent respect for public opinion requires that they declare the causes that impel them. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that we are each 65% water by weight and inhale a pint of atmosphere with every breath, that a healthy economy requires healthy people, that it is the duty of government to provide for our basic safety and security, that only 1% of the world's water exists as fresh, liquid, drinkable water, that New York is blessed with abundant water resources that will grow more precious in the future, that this water is not contained in discrete compartments, but rather flows above and below the surface as a moving, interconnected web, that we are a densely settled state, that our forests provide us flood control, that New York is the second largest wine producer in the nation, the third largest milk producer, and the nation's third largest producer of organic food. And it goes on like that. We solemnly publish and declare our independence from fracking. Governor Cuomo, should you allow just one well to be drilled in New York, we will stand up for our families, our communities, and shared commons in peaceful but forceful resistance. For many of us, actions will extend to civil disobedience, for we are less frightened of jail cells than of poisoned water. All of us will hold you personally responsible for allowing our beautiful state to be colonized and plundered by a brutal extractive industry whose practices endanger our lives and livelihoods, whose quarry contributes to the destabilizing of our climate and the increased likelihood of more Hurricane Sandys. Those who oppose fracking in New York State are determined, resourceful, and organized into a growing movement. We know how to work when we are tired. We will not desist. To the future of New York and the future generations who will depend on its water and air, we pledge our honor and our resolve, because this is what love looks like. February Declaration.
That's Dr. Sandra Steingraber. Isn't she phenomenal? And she's about to go up to another speaking gig. So we're gonna wrap up here. I want to take a couple of Southern Tier folks to deliver a letter that's included in all the press material to Kevin McCabe, who's Cuomo's representative. Kevin, can you hear us? Kevin, we have a message for Cuomo. Can you hear us? He's on the 16th floor. He's two windows down from the top there. We don't want drilling here. Not one well. Not one well. Not one well.